Welcome, good morning. So first of all, a few words about myself. I've been doing internet-y things like PHP, JavaScript mostly for, I guess, over 10 years at this point. I stopped being able to count, which makes me feel old sometimes. But then I did a bunch of open source in the last 5-6 years, I guess, being like Symfony core team, and the last 3-4 years. Actually, I think the Composer 4 years anniversary was a few days ago, probably, I forgot. Well, anyway, so yay, 4 years. And I've been speaking also for a while. I think this, also my first talk was 5 years, like 2 or 3 days ago, so it's also an anniversary there somehow. And I do, for work, I do sort of like consulting when I can, or contracting as well in the whole web field, and mostly Symfony. There's a joined in link down there, I'm not sure why, but if you're interested. So that's Chrome bugging. Anyway, so I'll talk about Composer today. I guess you heard of it, most of you. Did anyone not use it yet? At all? Good. That's good. Otherwise I feel bad because I don't really cover the basics. So the first thing I want to talk about is semantic versioning. So now, who read the entire document on semver.org? Really? Is that it? Come on. Okay, who is familiar, vaguely familiar with it, let's say? That's better, okay. Not good enough, I would say, but so I'll cover it quickly, and then I want you to go and read it, please. Like, if it's a fairly short document, and I hope I can convince you that it's a good idea and that you should read it. I don't want to explain in all the nitty-gritty details, but it's a good standard for versioning, basically. So it's a contract that defines how versioning works and what you can expect from libraries when they give you a version number, and that leads to a good relationship between users and like producers and consumers of open source, I would say, or all software really. So it's like the basic concept is that there is this major, minor, and patch versions, like with dots in between, as it happens. And they all represent something. So there's like the backwards compatibility break are represented by the major version, the features by the minor, and the like bug fixes, security fixes by patches. So whenever you add a new feature, you should increase the middle version, the minor. Whenever you break backwards compatibility, you should increase the major version. Whenever anything else, the patch is fine. So it goes like this. First of all, technically the spec does not say anything about the 0-point releases. So it starts at 1.0 and that's all it covers. But I would say it's a common assumption that while you're at 0.x, the first non-zero number is actually the meaningful one, like as in the major. So in this case, if we do fixes or new features, we might just release a 0.11. If we break anything, we just go to 0.2. Then we have a first table, which ideally should come as soon as possible if you can, because this whole 0.x is not actually specified by semver, so it's arguable whether you should use 0-point releases or not at all. Then we are fully in semver mode. So if we get fixes, 101, fixes 102, then we get new features, we go to 1.1. And if we break anything at all, in theory, we should go to 2.0. And people get scared because it's like 2.0, that's a big deal. No, it's just a number. Like you got plenty of numbers left after 2. It can go beyond 9 as well, as we have seen. So there's really no reason to be afraid, and it doesn't cost anything. So who of you, first of all, who of you will read the spec now on the next toilet break or anything? Like, it's fairly short. You can do it in one go, I think. Look, I'd like to see more hands. Please go read the spec. Like, don't raise your hand if you don't want to, but please go and read it, because there's a bit more than that. Secondly, I would like to address releasing packages. So I don't know how many of you have open source packages that you own or like that you maintain. Is that right? Not so, like, not all of you, but still quite a bit. So I'll go through this quickly because I think that's important. And actually, some of it, I think, is also things you can help with. Even if you're not the maintainer of a library, it's a way to contribute. So the README is one big thing. I think so many packages don't have a basic description of what the hell they're doing. Like, you get there, and the README is either empty or it just says, here's how to install it. I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess I can figure out how to install it. Like, these days, Composer helped a bit, I guess, and you know, the install is not so important anymore. But having a one-liner saying, hey, this fixes this use case, and it's good in this and that case, and you totally need it because X, like, how often do you not get that? And that just kills the entire purpose of the package to me, because the name might be appealing, but if there is one with an appealing name and another one with an appealing name and a description, the second one wins, that's it. So if you want anyone to use your stuff, I think it's a good start. Then you have like using, contributing instructions. I guess GitHub makes that a lot more fluent, but still, it's good to specify, mostly also specify the license, because technically a package without license, you shouldn't really use it. If you want some more resources, there's a very nice blog post. It contains a whole lot more stuff about READMEs. There's this PHP package checklist.com, long domain name, but it's actually quite valuable. And the second big thing is tagging releases. So tagging as often as you can, I think. And I know I'm very bad at that myself, but I say it anyway. It's, you know, what I aim for in life. Especially tagging before breaking anything, because like you have people that have their dev master release, and that's not a release actually, it's just a branch, and then suddenly they break everything and there was no tag. If you used it before, there's no way you get back to the state you were in. Like, it's hell. So please, if you break anything, just tag. And it's, you know, you have this Git thing. It allows you to tag. It's fairly easy. And I would say, like, actually, like, Composer and Packages made this also very easy, because you don't need to Composer, publish, push this package, whatever. It's just Git tag, push the tag, done. Packages does everything else magically for you. So there's no excuse, really. Except maybe for the changelog. That's my excuse, at least. It's the main reason I don't release things is that I'm very anal about the changelog, and I think it should be amazing, and then I don't tag because I'm scared because I have to do the changelog. But I think you should still do it. The way I do it usually is I do a git k with like this range of commits. So you have the last tag until master with the 2 dots. It will list all the commits that are between those 2 commits, or those tags and branch names. And then I go through all the commits. And this takes a while sometimes. But I think it's very important that you review everything that was done, and anything important, like meaningful stuff, especially backwards compatibility breaks, of course, but like, yeah, any important fix that might, you know, entice people to upgrade, any new features that is relevant, because otherwise it's kind of, you get a new version and you don't really know. Sometimes you don't know if you don't follow the project very closely what changed, what is new. And that's kind of sad because you miss out on a lot of new features, and sometimes you're still doing it like the old way. Like 2 years ago, I did it this way and it worked. So it still works now, but now there might be a helper function that does it a lot more easier. So, yep. And as I said, like doing these, if you don't have a package, if you're just using open source, it's fine. You can help. Like, help with the changelog. Anyone can do these commands and send a pull request with a changelog. Even for past releases, it's still a good thing. You can help with the README. You can nag people so that they tag more. That works with me, I guess. Okay, then we'll hit a bit more like general purpose things, not just for maintainers. So version constraints, there are a bunch that I guess most of you know, like simple ones like this, which aren't really like constraints. It's like saying I want this exact version. It's fairly simple to understand. You have wildcard ranges, which are also like simple. It's, I think anyone, even non-programmer, gets what this means. Like it's just a widely accepted thing. What was added in December, I believe, is full, I would say Semver compatibility, but it's not actually Semver per se, because Semver does not define like the version constraints. It only defines the versioning. But what I did was follow the node package, so the npm Semver package. And this one has a lot of constraints, and we were mostly on the same level, but we had some features we didn't have. So I thought, okay, I'm just going through everything, implement exactly the same so that it's easy, like brain interop when you work with npm or Composer, which I guess are the two closest you're going to use if you do PHP. You're most likely to use JavaScript than Ruby or something else. So to me, that makes the most sense. Also, it's fairly new, so it's not riddled with a lot of like historical issues. So one of the new things we have is this hyphen range, which allows you, as you see, to just do a range of versions. It's sometimes easier than doing an and or thing, and like so it translates to what's on the right, which would be the and version, which, as you see, is quite more verbose. So in this case, if we only specify 2.0, it assumes 2.0 point anything behind. So that gives us anything up to 2.1, but not including 2.1. On the other hand, if we specify the last, like the third digit, so we have 100, 210, then it's until 210 inclusive, but there's no dot anything after. Then we have those unbounded ranges, which are really quite terrible, because that means any backwards compatibility break that comes in 2.0, 3.0, whatever, you'll get it in. So you don't want to do that, I think, ever, except maybe for the PHP, like requiring PHP. Because, yeah, they don't break stuff so often. No, like that's the one where I would say, okay, it's okay to compromise there maybe, but for the libraries themselves, I think it's a really bad idea. We have two operators. There's one that used to be a comma, which still works obviously for backwards compatibility, but now it's a space, so you don't see it. But it means and. The other one, we had support for single pipe for OR, and now we do like double pipe as well for node compatibility. But like both work, but I would say those are the preferred versions because they bring like interoperability with other communities, which I think is quite important. Then we had this one for a while as well. That's not a new one. So what it means is essentially the last digit you define after the tilde can go upwards, not downwards. And that's about it. So in this case, we see, okay, the one, like we define 1.2, the 2 can go up to 99999 because you're not limited to 9 numbers. So that would be like 1.999, but never to 2.0. So you prevent yourself from having backwards compatibility break, but you get all the new features, all the bug fixes, etc. So you allow the whole range the whole range of versions up to something that will break. And that's why Semver comes in really like handy and very important to me, is that it allows us to have this smart operator which says, okay, like give me stuff that works. And not like once it breaks, I don't want it, because like this should be a conscious choice to say, okay, I upgrade to the 2.0 version, and then I'll check if my code still works, etc. But if you use that, in theory, you can do update anytime and it should still work. Like, you know, obviously sometimes people mess up, there are regressions, etc. But mostly this should work if everyone follows Semver. Not everyone does it yet, so I think that's something we should really push for as well as users. If something you use, you see them doing stupid things with the versioning, tell them please look at Semver, it makes sense, everyone else uses it, just, you know, then we can all be on the same page. And a lot of times people go with saying, yeah, but we have these like marketing releases, mostly that's going to be like CMSs or more like product-wise, like product things, not really libraries. And they want to have this big launch of their 2.0 because that's what they can sell to managers and stuff. But managers don't need to see the version numbers. Like sell them the Happy Panda version, but not the 2.0. Then you can release 2.0, 3.0 whenever you break something, and then the Happy Panda comes, and that's the big sales pitch. That's fine. It's just an alias. That's what, you know, like Ubuntu does as well. Although they don't follow Semver at all, but that's another issue. So you see, in this case, if we define the 1.2.3, only the last one again can go upwards. So this restricts us to between 1.2.3 and 1.3 not included. So that was a bit of a problem. Like it's nice, but somehow it confuses the hell out of people. And Node had the same problem, and they introduced this caret operator. And the caret, it does exactly the same, except it follows Semver more strictly. So in this case, you see the difference. It lets you go up to 2.0 anyway. So with the tilde, if you wanted to do like, I need at least 1.2.3, but up to 2.0, you needed to expand it to the full range, like yourself. With the caret, you can easily do it like that. And it also follows this kind of common convention of the 0-point releases, which is to say that like it won't let you go to 1.0, like or to 0.4 in this case, because 0.4 is likely to introduce BC breaks. So it kind of just lets you update to the first, like, it doesn't let the first non-zero digit change, which is the way they put it, which I think is quite clear if you think about it for a minute. But yeah, you just strip the zeros and you use what's left as the end of the range. So libraries absolutely should use this caret or the tilde. Same, I guess, but like probably in the future more the caret. Libraries most importantly because otherwise you get conflicts. I'll get back to that in a moment, but it's very important I think for libraries. For your own applications, it's a bit more up to you. If you want more safety, you can go with like wildcard ranges or just exact versions even, but I think for applications it's also fine. It gives you safety as long as everyone follows Semver. So use it, really, it's awesome. All right. I think we introduced a few months back, and I'm still talking about it. I'm not sure if it's necessary or not. Like, Who uses that exclusively to install new packages? The require command? Not a lot of you. So mostly people just edit the JSON file and run an update, etc. So doing that it's really the easiest. First of all, because you can't mess up the JSON syntax, because you don't have to look up the current version, because what this does is it will look up the last version of the library you want, say, okay, it's 1.11 point whatever, so I do a constraint that is like tilde, or we'll move it to caret at some point, but we're waiting until everyone has a version that supports caret, otherwise, yeah, people are gonna freak out. And then it does like the best constraint in a way for you at that time. So it's a win-win, and it runs an update for only that package. So it won't update all your dependencies, it just really installs the new stuff. Okay, quick word about stabilities. I think it's not so complex. It's a linear thing. It starts with dev, you have alpha, beta, RC, and then stuff gets stable. I think this is easy to understand. Everyone kind of knows about these different stabilities. Where it gets a bit hairier is that sometimes people want like a branch to be stable. And they come and they ask, like, how can I make this branch a stable tag or a beta branch or I don't know what? And there we have to say stop because it's a bad idea. And so I want to clarify real quick that tags by default are stable unless you specify otherwise. If you specify it's a beta or an RC, you'll get that, but otherwise tags are stable. Branches are dev, and that is it. Like you cannot, if you call your branch blah 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 beta, it will still rename it to dev blah 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 beta, and it will still treat it as a dev thing. Because a branch just, it's not stable in time. Like it's something that changes. It can potentially change at any time because you can still commit to it. A tag is like a snapshot. You say, now this I say it's beta. And tomorrow it's still beta. It's still the same tag. It didn't change. On the branch, if you add a new commit, the state might have changed. So we cannot know. So we treat it as dev. And that's the simple rule. Then, to get back to those conflicts, so we have a problem when libraries do stupid things, I would argue. So in this case, I don't know if you can read at the back. I'm sorry, I didn't know the room was that huge. But I hope you can more or less read. Or, you actually have those feedback things. I forgot. So you're all good. So if you require two packages, and one has a smart constraint, it used this tilde or a caret, you're all good. Like, that's fine. All happy. But then you require the other package, and this one requires the same library, monologue again, but it has this wildcard constraint, which is limiting to 1.3 releases. What's going to happen there is this sometimes seen output of death of composer, which most people kind of bail on completely. Like they see that and they just, like they shut down, they start crying. I don't know. They come to IRC, they complain, they open issues on GitHub. Like there's a lot of unhappiness about this. I'm very sorry, but. Technically, if you actually spend a bit of time to read it, I think it makes some sense. So it's telling you, like, you required, like, installation request for Lazy Bob means you required in your package, Lazy Bob, the package, in version 1.2 with tilde, it's satisfiable by this package. Then you required this other cool Alice, also satisfiable by this. So far, so good. then it tells you, okay, lazy Bob requires monologue in this version, which is satisfiable, so far so good. The other Alice package requires also monologue in other versions. It's also satisfiable. It's all fine. But at the end, we have a problem because we see that the like satisfiable lists of monologue packages do not intersect. So what do you do then? It's PHP. You can't install two versions because once one is loaded, you're screwed. Like you can't load the other one. So what we have to do is bail and say, look, you got a conflict. We cannot install version 1.6 and 1.3 at the same time. It just doesn't work. So yeah, we output this, and I hope you can see that it makes some sense. And like the only way in this case is that to fix the requirements in the lazy Bob package is to send them a pull request saying, hey, look, like this wildcard thing, it's not cool. It's not exactly enabling interoperability with other libraries. So just please change it to something that will work. And most likely they didn't intend it to be that way. Like it's very rare that you require a specific version of something to work. Like you might require 1.2 minimum, sure, because there's a feature you need there. But in theory, you don't care if you get 1.3, 4, 5, 6, and onwards until the 2.0. It's fine. All right. So that's another use case that can be a bit tricky to resolve. So the thing is, you require monologue. Again, everyone should require monologue. It's very cool. You require it in version 1 point anything because you're happy with any of the features. Awesome. That's all you got so far. So you want the 1 point something. It's fine. But then you require this bad package, and this guy just said, okay, like I want monologue in dev master. I want the latest and greatest of the dev branch. Like the master branch, and you'll get an error because actually up there you say, I want minimum stability of beta. So Composer just, like it looks at all the packages passing by, and when it's not beta or above, if it's dev or alpha, it goes like, just doesn't want to know about it. So there you get an error where it says bad package requires monologue in version dev master, and it says no package found. And that's kind of weird because you know that there is a branch master, and you go check on packages, and it's there, and you go, what the hell? Like, this doesn't make sense. And well, it does in a way because, again, we have this minimum stability which says, I don't want anything that's under beta. So there are a few ways to fix this. You can change the minimum stability to be dev, but then you're going to get all of your dependencies in dev master equal. Sorry. Or you can also use this @dev on the monologue require, which just says, okay, for this one, it's okay to get it in dev version. So that works for a while. They're both happy because monologue defines this, that the dev master branch is equal to 1.12 at the moment. So it's saying, okay, like Git kind of enforces, or like the best practices enforce that there is a master branch which is called master, and changing that all the time, like changing your default branch, would be a bit of a pain. So what we did there to facilitate this is saying, okay, you can describe what at this moment the master branch is equal to in terms of numbered version. So Composer knows now that it's a 1.12 equivalent. So it matches with your 1 point anything requirement. So it's fine, it installs, you might be happy for a while. But then there's a monologue 2.0 coming about. And so the branch alias there for the master branch will become 2.0. So it doesn't resolve anymore because you get this thing saying, okay, like now the master, yes, you allow dev releases, but dev master is not equivalent, like it does not match the 1.x constraint. So yeah, that sucks. And in this case, there is actually no good solution. Like you can change your requirement, and then you most likely get breakage because you update it to the 2.0. Or you can, again, go talk to the bad package maintainer and like nag them and fix their things. But ideally, you would nag them, like identify this and go nag them as soon as possible and not wait until the 2.0 comes and all hell breaks loose. Okay. Log file. I don't know if this is still necessary or not, but who ignores the log file? Like in git ignore? Yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, few, 4. Yeah, okay, that's good. So you shouldn't, really, absolutely not. All those that do it, please don't. Unless you have a very, very good reason, but I can't think of any. So we can discuss it later if you want. But most likely it's just due to you didn't know, and that's fine. But just shortly, why you should commit it is that you get faster installs if you do like composer install and you have a log file present. It will like install immediately. There's no dependency resolution or anything going on. It's just, it reads the log file, it applies that. So if you deploy to like low memory servers, VMs, etc., this can help because you can run a composer install with very low memory usage, etc. But the most important is that you get reproducible installs. Like this log file describes the exact state of your dependencies the last time you run an update. So if you run an install from that log file anywhere, you get the same. And that's quite amazing because you don't get like a CI server that broke because it got suddenly a new version of something. You don't get the production server that broke because you get a new version, which would be like more problematic. You don't lose an afternoon trying to debug why the hell something is broken on this developer's machine and not on this one, because yeah, they run an update at like, without the log file, essentially they would have run an update accidentally. So yeah, you really should commit it. Like, just do it. Okay. But on the other hand, something has come to my attention a while back. Someone tweeted this Google search. And it's kind of interesting because you see two things. The first is that Google Webmaster Tools advertisements are really quite shit at detecting domain names. So I don't know what that is. But the most important and relevant here is that a lot of people actually have their composer log accessible through the web publicly, which you may not think is a big issue, but it actually lists all the dependencies you're using. It lists the version of whatever framework, CMS, library that could have, vulnerabilities, and that's just opening the doors to anything. So please watch out. Like, either delete it after deploying or just make sure you have a web root that is not the same as whatever. Do what you need to do, but just don't let this happen. This is bad. Like security-wise, it's really quite awful. Okay. We have those custom commands as well for a few months, which using scripts, like in this case, you see there's a script defined which is test. So traditionally, the scripts were used like, you probably saw them if you use like Symfony or a bunch of other frameworks these days use them to do like post-install command, and it does some tasks. So those are like kind of event listeners within Composer. But now you can also define your own commands. And so when you say test is PHP unit or whatever command you have there, you can just run Composer test, and Composer will see, okay, I don't have a test command, I don't know what to do with that. It checks the script, okay, there's a test script, so I'll run that instead. So that's a nice way, I think, to standardize. Like if you have different testing tools, you know, sometimes you have more than just PHP unit to run. You might have bhat or I don't know, just some other stuff. So I think it would be a nice way if everyone adds that to their project, and you can just say like Composer test, and you know it will do the right thing. Oh yeah, something I forgot to mention is that PHP unit there, you see that it's like technically as you require it, and the bin dir is vendor bin, which is the default. Like by default, you will get the PHP unit installed in the vendor dir, and then you have vendor/bin/php unit to run it. And we add this bin dir to the path before running the script. So you can just type PHP unit, and it like magically knows where to find it. Okay. Okay, final tip, I guess. Yep. So if you want to use forks of a library, say you fixed a bug in some, you know, Symfony, for example. I hear it's full of bugs. No, I didn't say that. But if you fix something in a library you're using, most likely it's going to take a while before it gets merged. So you probably want to use your fix, especially if it's critical. You usually want to use it before the next release or even before it's merged. So what you can do, I guess you know about this, is to define the repository with VCS, etc. And then you say, okay, I want to require my branch of Symfony, which might be dev master. It might be dev mypatch if your branch is called mypatch. So usually you do a feature branch or something like that. So you're going to require that. But then, yeah, you might have a problem, which is that other things you have in your project require Symfony in version, like in a specific version, which is like 2.5. And dev mypatch has no equivalency. Like it does not have an alias saying mypatch equals 2.5. So it won't, like, you'll get a conflict there. And so one easy way to fix this is to use this alias thing, which is like require a specific version as another one. And that will install dev mypatch, and it will like put it in a alias wrapper that says that it also has this 2.5.0 like number on it. So you have this like mutant package with two versions. So that it satisfies more than just explicit requires for dev mypatch. It will also satisfy other dependencies. All right. Maybe I'm going too fast, but I think it's okay. Torrent proxy, who heard of it? Not enough. I suck at marketing. Good. That's a chance then to enlighten some more people. Just quick sales pitch. I don't want to abuse it, but basically what it is, it's a proxy-like thing, a bit like Packagist or like Satis that you can install on your servers. It's paid. There's a catch. That's why it's a sales pitch. And it does like it provides you fast and reliable in the sense that it mirrors everything from GitHub, from Packagist, etc. So if GitHub is down or slow as hell, you get like fast installs from your own server. So that hopefully your server still runs when GitHub goes down. Maybe there's strange links there, but normally it does. And the other main feature is that it gives you private package hosting, like so you can have your own packages there. And the main reason it's paid, like sold and not just given away, is that I need money. So yeah, no, so I realized like that I was kind of getting slowly tired of the whole maintaining this project for free, and it's like the issues are getting kind of more and more boring as the lifespan of the project goes. You know, it's like the hard stuff was fun, and then you get like, oh, can you please fix this weird bug on this weird platform that it's like it affects the 0.01% of users, and I get more and more stuff like that, which is not exactly exciting. So my motivation was going quite a low, like to a low point, and then I tried to figure out how to like combine, let's say, work and financials and open source, and this came out. So I hope you check it out. Like, you know, it's up to you, but at least you know about it now. Go check it out. That's all I ask. Finally, a few community resources, which I think are quite cool. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that appeared recently. Melody is, I don't know if you saw it, but it's, I don't know how to describe it in one line. It lets you run scripts, like it lets you embed a composer JSON in a way in a PHP script. So you can have like a very simple script where on top you define dependencies, and then you have the script that runs. And then you can do like Melody run this, and it will automatically load those packages you defined and then run the script. So it's kind of cool to have like very small self-contained utilities. PackAnalyst is a rather insane project, but it's really cool. The guy basically scans all the source code of all the packages, like just goes on GitHub, downloads everything, indexes it all, and then it lets you do searches on that. So you can say, okay, like I want to see who uses this interface I have in my package, and it will show you all the packages that have implemented that interface. That's really awesome for like making decisions on, you know, what is actually using my stuff and how. And I mean, obviously it can only access the public code, right? It doesn't have access to all application code out there, but it's still a nice way to explore the way people use your stuff. Versioning also has this way of, if you go to like just monologue, monologue, you can also put your package name there if you don't care about monologue, that's fine. With slash references, it shows you all the packages that require use, so also an interesting way to see like where you're used, etc. Composer Cleaner is a thing that cleans the vendor directory of all the tests and documentation and stuff, and possibly deletes too much. I don't know. Like, I didn't try it, but some people are really passionate about this issue of cleaning up the vendor dir, so this exists if you want to give it a shot. And Awesome PHP is a long list of awesome PHP packages, apparently. I mean, it's obviously biased, it's just done by someone, but I think it, like from a quick glance at it, I would say it has a good overview of pretty much like, yeah, all the useful stuff, or like commonly useful packages, I would say. So if you're looking for something and you search on Packagist and you're like, there's 15 of them, or 50, you can go check that. Maybe you find someone telling you, okay, use this one, and then you can put the blame on someone else if it sucks. All right, that's it. Thank you. If you do have questions, I think we have 15 minutes. Otherwise, you can hit me up there. The slides are available on the link there, and you may leave good feedback or or constructive bad feedback, as always. I'm joined in. Yes.
Hi. You said you should always commit to the lock file.
Yes.
I was wondering if that was also true if I'm publishing a library.
So I just heard library, but
Sorry.
no, I heard the question, but I guess maybe repeat it for everyone because.
So if I'm publishing a library, should I also commit the lock file?
Okay, so that's the potentially one use case where you could say, like, you can argue. And some people say no, because then you always test with the latest dependencies, like when your build runs, for example. Some people say yes, because that way you make sure that everyone tests with the same versions, and that when you actually bump it, like you run the test and then you check, and I don't know. Like, to be honest, it mostly does not matter for libraries, I would say, because you don't deploy a library somewhere, or like you have way less. There are not as many incentives, but there's also no big issue with doing it, I think. So I would say for that, it's up to you. But in projects, absolutely commit it. Like, I just don't see any reason not to. Anyone else? I guess there's lunch, so
Yeah.
don't want to hold you back. All right.
Okay, can we get a round of applause for Jordi then?